whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
There we go. There's my mic. Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show this day after Super Tuesday. Myself with Kim McAllister. I am excited to delve into how you guys are feeling today. Of course, the biggest news, and we'll get some analysis from ABC in just a moment from Nikki Haley dropping out. Nobody's really surprised that she left. But, you know, it's going to be an interesting thing to see how many Nikki Haley supporters actually move over to Trump or move over to Biden or just don't vote at all. Kim McAllister, the turnout yesterday, quite disappointing. Here in California, I kept looking at the returns. I couldn't believe how few people in a state as large as California chose not to go vote yesterday. It was so disappointing. Did you see a lot of people when you went to turn in your ballot?
I went to turn in my ballot and it was just went right up, boom, done. Yeah. No line, nothing.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. Unfortunately, Chip Franklin is again not with us this morning because I texted him seeing if he was okay because he had the flu yesterday. I don't know if he had, but he's like, I might have a hit with MSNBC. So fingers crossed he did because that's kind of cool. Fancy. But he's not able to join us today. Can I also say, I just want to say two thank yous. One, and I don't see you in the chat just yet. Calvin Wong, you were so freaking sweet. I just got an alert that he made a donation to our PayPal, Kim, for a new helmet for Dylan and pads and everything. If you were on our show yesterday, my son was home. He had crashed his bike the day before yesterday. Actually, what's today? Wednesday. Yeah, on Monday. He had crashed his bike and totally had a swollen lip. He could barely talk. It was really, he needed an ice it and he needed a day. And my son never stays home from school. And so I gave him a day and he kind of told his story yesterday on the show and it was really, really sweet. And so Calvin, I just want to say thank you. That was really generous and really sweet. And I really do appreciate everybody that donates and supports the show in that way. And Calvin is a huge supporter, not only in the chat and in the donations, but with story ideas. He emails me all sorts of things. And so, Calvin, you're freaking awesome. I also want to say hello and thank you. Kim, you're going to crack up at this story. So yesterday, after I got off air, I'm doing some of the work and I'm finishing up the back end stuff for the show. And I wanted to go drop off my ballot. And one of the places to drop it off is one of my favorite places, the library. And so I told Dylan, I was like, hey, come with me. Let's go exchange our books because we had a bunch of books to return and get some new books because you're home today and it makes me feel better as a mom, right? Like, let's go to the library.
Right.
And it was so sweet. Like, I'm telling you, we walk through the doors of the library and this woman comes out, and I believe your name was Jennifer, but it was quite a shock. Like, she just comes up to me and she's like, Nikki, she's like, I love listening to your show. I just finished watching it. She's a volunteer at the library, and I believe your name is Jennifer. And what's funniest, and what totally, Jennifer, if you're listening, made my son's day, she recognized Dylan first. Like, she was like,
how funny is that?
I saw him walking up. And I saw your son. She's like, hi, Dylan. I hope you feel better. Da, 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 da. It was such a quick interaction, but it was so sweet. And I believe you said your name was Jennifer. And thank you for watching the show. And it was it was really, really awesome. So thank you to Calvin. Thank you for Jennifer for saying hello. And yeah, we went. And again, when I went to the library.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer. When I went to the library, it was, so you go through the library and then it's outside. It's in the community room where you could do the voting or whatever and the voting booths. And I just walked up with my ballot already filled out and dropped it in the box. And while there was a line, It wasn't long enough for my liking. Although it was the middle of the day, I would say, what time did we go? I want to say we went around, pardon me, 1:30-ish, 1:30-ish area. So middle of the day, kind of older voters. But the turnout just wasn't great. And I was listening to some analysis from people this morning, even though it's a presidential year, because it's going to be between Biden and Trump, they're not thinking it's going to be a very high turnout. And usually it's an extremely high turnout, which we need. We need a high turnout. I am so aggravated that Steve freaking no experience Garvey got nearly as many votes as Adam Schiff. And all that tells me, at least so far, I mean, all that tells me is Dems, you guys just didn't go out and vote. I mean, I'm looking at the results right here. Hold on, let me bring it up. Okay, so ABC News. Now, I don't know what time this was only when 48% of the vote had been cast. So I try to update my thing. But even with half the votes, okay, half the precincts counted, okay? Steve Garvey had 32%, Schiff 33%. It should never have been this close. Never should have been this close. I'm kind of aggravated with Adam Schiff because all the analysis seems to be because Schiff targeted Garvey didn't need to do anything. He didn't need to put any money into campaigning. Adam Schiff made a name for Steve Garvey politically. Obviously, Steve Garvey was known in the sports world. Yeah, Mara, Schiff spent $10 million for pro-Garvey ads so we wouldn't go against someone more likely to beat him. Yeah, I was disappointed. Katie Porter it wasn't even close. I think she was like that last check, I think 18%, something like that. It's so disappointing that people didn't really go out and vote. And I know the bitching and moaning between now and November is going to be sky high. Oh, we don't really have a choice. We did have a choice, MFers. You know what I mean? Like, we did have a choice. You guys chose not to vote. It was really sweet, though. My friend Lauren, shout out to Lauren, texted me yesterday. Oh, what did she say? I'm going to read it to you. And it really warmed my heart. And this is what I hope to freaking do on this show all the time. She's like, if you wouldn't have posted your sticker, my I voted sticker on social media, I would not have voted. You matter. And I was like, oh,
really?
No. Yeah. She's like, I don't even know what friggin' day it is. And she's like, but I saw your post. I saw your you voted sticker and I got off my ass and I voted. I'm like, thank you.
Well done.
Well done. Not that I'm patting myself on the back, but there were not enough you voted stickers. There were not enough people talking about that. It was freaking Super Tuesday yesterday. And what's wrong with you people? Like, we as a country, I'm just totally like, everyone watching this show, I'm not talking about you, okay? Because I know that we are engaged, right? But as much as people bitch and moan about politics in the United States in 2024, you would have thought they cared enough to vote. But apparently, people just want to bitch and moan and do jack nothing about it. And it was so annoying. And I'm disappointed Katie Porter didn't do better. Barbara Lee was very disappointed as well. She was kind of calling out that Democratic machine backing Schiff instead of her. They're like, they're not going to throw their money behind a progressive woman, and maybe there's some truth to that. I would say so. I mean, Pelosi, who appears to be, winning her seat, she threw her support behind Schiff, which I understand. It looks like Jackie Spears is going to get her supervisor seat. Eric Swalwell as well. Talk
about overqualified.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, yes, but I kind of like, going back to basics with the qualifications. I mean, damn, right? Like, you got the cream of the crop there. But yeah, I'm really kind of bummed with the turnout and how things are going. Prop 1, and we'll go through some of these in a bit, but Prop 1, I think, is still too close to call. When I was listening to the news on the way in, I believe that's too close to call. But everything that London Breed apparently was passing, we're going for in San Francisco to address crime and what have you, appears to be passing. Now, as far as the presidential election, as I mentioned, Nikki Haley dropping out, I want to play a little bit of the analysis. How many of you in the comments, and I know we have some Trumpers or Republicans or conservatives in our group over here. I mean, if you were a Nikki Haley fan, are you just going to go to Donald Trump. Here's ABC News.
She stood firm to her promise to stay in until Super Tuesday because she really wanted to give Republican voters a chance to vote for an alternative to Donald Trump. She kept telling us that she was hearing from people that they didn't want to vote for the former president. She was, and she did get a significant chunk of Republican voters to vote for her, but it was clearly not enough to overtake Donald Trump. And I think we have to look today at those Haley voters, who they are. Whit, I can tell you, I've spoken with so many of them, and many of them have voted for Donald Trump in the past. Repeatedly, they told us in the last several weeks and months that they just couldn't see themselves voting for Donald Trump again. And if Nikki Haley wasn't in the race, they didn't know where they would go, who they would vote for. And that's the real question now. Where do those voters go? Will Donald Trump be able to court them to vote for him, or will they vote for Joe Biden, or a third option? Will they just not vote at all? We talked to so many disengaged, disenfranchised voters who just aren't sure that their vote even says anything anymore. Whit, there's a lot to be.
So there you go. I mean, if people don't vote now, if people don't vote, do you think that it benefits Trump or Biden more? Because I feel, and maybe this is naive, and maybe this is just me trying to be as optimistic as possible, but I feel if Trump is on the ballot, it will always light a fire under the ass of Democrats. Like, we will just, because Democrats vote, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying conservatives don't, but I feel like there's a difference, right? It's the passion. Who is more passionate? People against Trump or for Trump? And I think that's what we're going to see in November.
Those MAGA people seem awfully motivated, Nikki.
I understand that, but at the same time, are there enough of them? I feel like they're loud and annoying, right? But it's not as if, now, obviously, Super Tuesday, Trump got the delegates, Nikki didn't get enough. But as we were talking with the past primaries, it's not as if he was running away with it, right? There was still a significant number of Republicans that were not voting for him or not voting at all. And so in November, when it is solidly Trump versus Biden, will the Democrats get it together enough to vote him in? I mean, if we're going to talk about passion, I don't know if MAGA could have been any more passionate than they were in 2020, and he lost, handedly lost. So can we keep it going for a whole other election? Eric says it's going to benefit Trump if people don't vote because his cult will always vote for him. So do I take that to mean, Eric, that Democrats would rather see, or liberals or whatever, rather see a Donald Trump presidency than see Biden in office? Because I can't, in my mind, in my rational mind, there is such a huge difference. There is such a huge difference between what Biden does for the country and what Trump does. I understand people, believe flat out that President Biden and his administration are supporting the genocide in Gaza. I completely understand people doing protest votes during the primary. Okay. I understand that. But when it comes, in the primary, but when it comes to the general election, when it comes to voting between Trump or Biden, and they will go to the White House, I feel like Dems won't let us down. Kevin, it's a primary. Don't freak out. Exactly. The primary brings out the most passionate of voters. Unfortunately, not a lot of people are passionate, but there's a lot of time between now and November. There is just a lot of time. Eric said we needed a dynamic, vibrant Democratic candidate, and we got Biden. It might be a repeat of Hillary. They may assume Biden already has it in the bag and not show up. I think there's a difference. I think the difference between Hillary, Eric, and Biden is we've already had a Donald Trump presidency. Donald Trump has said and done things in between those times. I feel like people that didn't come out and vote for Hillary and Trump got in, they assumed, like so many of us, that Hillary just had it in the bag. The polling was showing it. Everything was showing it. They're like, screw it. I don't really like Hillary. I can't stand Trump, so I'm just not going to go vote. It's different now. Trump is somebody with a record, right? We know what he says. We know what he does. And he's still freaking old and he's still a freaking idiot. So, and he's dangerous. He's dangerous. And we also have to remember the trials, before him. And I know if he becomes president, then he could pardon himself and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying there are a lot of steps that could injure a Trump candidacy that we have to keep in mind. Spencer says women are still pissed about Dobbs. Hell freaking yeah. Absolutely. I just feel like this isn't a good window into what's going to happen in November. I hope it's not. I hope we have a massive turnout. I hope Trump gets handed his, lunch again. And yeah, but I just was really disappointed. I really was. And then did you see this? Most Republicans in at least 2 Super Tuesday states say Donald Trump is still fit to be president, even if he's convicted of crimes. That just tells me that, and this is in Virginia and North Carolina, that just tells me they don't care. It's similar to the people that voted for Steve Garvey. They don't care about policy. They don't care about good ideas. They don't care about qualifications. They don't care about any of it. And I'm talking about these types of voters that say these things. They just don't want a Democratic candidate or another Biden White House. They don't care if the country goes to hell in a handbasket and they're just literally sitting in the basket with us, right? I mean, they don't get it. It's ridiculous. I mean, Mitch McConnell, who after January 6th, right, came out strongly against Trump, now says that Trump has his endorsement. There is no sort of putting the country before party with the Republican Party. There is none. There's absolutely none. And I don't feel like it's the same for the Democratic Party. I don't. I mean, come on. Donald Trump, the candidate, stopped the first major bipartisan border bill that had Republicans writing the bill because their dear leader said no. Donald Trump says, nope, it's a presidential year. You can't give Biden a win. Let's stop with this nonsense. Asa Hutchinson was on KQED this morning. I was listening when I was taking the kids home to school. And he's like, well, I still think that Biden can be a threat to democracy because of the southern border. Really? Really? Because Trump, put a nail in the coffin for the border bill that would have done something, Asa. Your hypocrisy is frickin' showing. Vilma says, in the Democratic Party, we have, for the most part, had vibrant populist candidates for the president. We've been spoiled. We have a president that is old, but gets things done. Exactly, Vilma. Exactly. People say, oh, what he's done to the economy. The economy is good. Inflation is down. Some student loans, not all have been forgiven. I mean, the CHIPS Act, bringing semiconductors back with climate change, unemployment. I mean, people are insane if they think that Biden's done nothing with this presidency. They're just blinded by politics. Eric says, what I hear from the non-MAGA but still Trump voters is they're mostly concerned about the border. They've bought into the right-wing propaganda about it. Throw right back in their face, Eric. Throw right back in their face. If the border was such a crisis, then why didn't they pass the bipartisan border bill? And everybody knows the answer to that. They were going to until Trump told them not to. That's it. They have no leg to stand on with the border anymore. At all. At all. They can try and play, oh, we wanted this, that, the other. The most significant border bill in decades. It was bipartisan. And it was going to pass until Trump said no. So it's all what Trump wants. It's only to get Trump elected. There is no crisis if you're not going to pass any sort of fix for it. That's it. I dream of Republicans now trying to throw the freaking border in my face because that will always hold true. They had it within their grasp. And of course, the Republican Party does what the Republican Party does. They don't want to solve the problem. They want to politicize the problem. And it does need to be solved. I don't think there's any argument. Oh, Tony, thank you for the $10 donation to our super chat. I'll choose a feeble old man, Tony writes, over a crooked old man any day. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, they're both old. I hate how we try to make it seem like Trump is spry. Give me a freaking break over here. Oh, Sandy says it's so depressing. People don't seem to understand how dangerous Trump is. They're focused on the wrong thing. If Trump gets reelected, we might never get to vote again. I mean, they've changed the rules in some states to make it easier for Trump to win the delegates. That's what they've done between 2020 and now. And it's all just for you guys, us, I'm using the us as Americans, to bend the freaking knee to a self-proclaimed dictator. I'll just be a dictator on the first day. I swear to God. And then those freaking Republicans slap on that flag lapel pin and act like they're the freaking patriots. It's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. You have a dictator if you cannot speak truth to power. I mean, I have disagreed with things with everything from my mayor to my governor to my president. I don't have to agree with everything they do. I can call out people within my own party, but not anybody that's Trump. No MAGA can ever say anything bad about Trump or you're out. That is a dictator. And it's like they're freaking salivating for it. Drives me nuts. Absolutely drives me nuts. All right, let's do some headlines so I can calm the frick down. We have a few more national politics to talk on. Of course, we're keeping our eye on any of these races. Prop 1, how did you guys vote on that? It's very close to call. I thought it would have been more of a landslide, in all honesty.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I was surprised by that. I really, really, really was. But yeah, so we'll do that. And then we'll talk about some other things. Did you see this report about electric vehicles being more toxic to the environment than gas-powered cars? Now, there's an easy fix to this pollution, but I will get into it. And it's one of these things where one side will use it versus the other, and you could totally see it happening. Costco, I think, is making a very bad decision. And Target, or Target, if you like to be fancy, are they losing their luster and their fan group? I mean, it used to be Target. People want to spend their whole day in Target, but I'm sensing some trouble for the red dot. What else are we going to talk? Oh, and then I have to show you pictures. And I don't know if Kim's going to have it in her news, but I have pictures as well. What the hell is a spherical armadillo? Because apparently John Fisher loves it. Absolutely loves it. All right. Click the thumbs up button. Show your support for the show. Again, the super chat is live. We've already had people donate to the super chat. Thank you so much, Tony, for the $10 donation into our super chat. Talking about taking Biden over Trump any day. Absolutely. But the number one way you can support the show, of course, is through our Patreon. Go to thenikkimadoroshow.com. The Patreon link is there. We're 100% crowdfunded, and we need your support to continue doing the show. PayPal, which Calvin used to donate. Thank you, Calvin, for the very generous donation to our PayPal. Just go to paypal.com and then hit the send button and put in the email address, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com. All right. We'll take a look at some headlines and then more with yesterday's election next.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
From one Nikki to another Nikki, Nikki Haley this time, dropping out of the GOP presidential race. She made the announcement today, but would not officially endorse Donald Trump.
She shouldn't.
Just can't do
you
it.
Think she's going to? I always find the hypocrisy so thick with candidates when they're like, she did say something of the sort of, she said this, she said, he has to earn the votes of people who voted for me, like Nikki Haley voters. Mm-hmm. And then she said, and I hope he does. Screw you, Nikki. Like, no, it's just ridiculous. Whatever.
Meanwhile, President Biden made his own pitch to Haley supporters, saying there is a place for them within his campaign. But House Speaker Mike Johnson is saying, wait a minute, nope. Republican Party is unified behind former President Trump, as what you were just talking about. Yeah. Speaking after Nikki Haley dropped out of the GOP presidential race, Johnson said the House is ready to work with Trump in 2024. He said Trump was met with resistance from federal agencies in his first term, but he's now set to continue cutting federal and red tape and grow the economy. A panel investigating the Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis is hearing testimony today from the defense attorney who first put forward allegations about her relationship with a special prosecutor. Ashley Merchant represents former Trump campaign official Mike Roman in the former president's election subversion case. She will be the first to testify about Willis's allegedly improper relationship with Nathan Wade. Texas Panhandle, which has been torched by wildfires, apparently is ground zero for the state's cattle industry. Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller said at least 3,600 cows have died, and that number is growing. Miller said 500 houses and barns have been destroyed in the biggest fire in Texas state history. Wow. So a big fire. Apple is making some changes to address criticism and comply with new restrictions in the European Union. Apple developers can now create alternative app marketplaces without a standby letter of credit. The tech giant is also making additional changes to satisfy regulators who say Apple abuses its dominance.
I mean, I will say this, Apple does have a lock on so many different things. All of these sort of lawsuits always confuse me because are they not allowed to? Like it's always like they want to be the leader. They want to do those things.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. Controversial new legislation would allow anyone who got the COVID shot to sue the manufacturer if they believe the vaccine had negative health effects. Usually, the makers of vaccines are shielded from such laws.
Yeah.
Well, Chip Roy is a congressman in Texas. He says that's disputed. A new study published in the journal Vaccine last month found increases in neurological, blood, and heart-related conditions are extremely rare. There was one case of acute inflammation of the brain and spine per 1.75 million vaccinations. Authors wrote that the benefits of the COVID vaccine far outweigh the risks. I doubt this bill is going anywhere, honestly.
I mean, I feel like it's to score political points with people that are anti-COVID. I mean, but we are still, again, politicized about everything, yet don't seem to want to vote. Anytime somebody dies, oh, they probably got the shot. It's like, are you insane? Measles is coming back, morons. Like, vaccines work. The number of people that died at the beginning of COVID was so horrific. And I'm so shocked that people just seem to forget that. I can't forget us waking up in the morning and seeing the refrigerator trucks on CNN and because they were running out of space for bodies. It's just, do we just forget about those lives? Do we forget about how important it was to get a vaccine? Do we also forget the fact that this happened under the Trump presidency? If you want to politicize the whole entire thing, it's just not. I don't get it. I really, really don't. I don't want to go back to people dying of something we have a vaccine for.
Do we feel like, and I feel like, I don't know if the general consensus is this, that the reason we're able to walk outside without a mask today, the reason our kids are able to go to school today, the reason we're able to go back to the office, the reason we can wander into the grocery store and just stand there and peruse the aisles, not at a certain time of day, right, is because of the vaccine. That's why we're back to normal. Yeah. Because now that we have the vaccine, if we get sick, we're not going to die from it. Most likely.
We're not going to die. And again, and obviously there's in many areas, there was just this idea of everybody just got COVID, right? That's how they inoculated themselves for COVID. And okay, if you want to take that risk and your health is good enough, but you also put other people whose health wasn't that good at risk. And it requiring some Americans to give a crap about other people they don't know is just too much for some people, apparently. So,
yeah. Back to California. It does look, we know, like a rematch come November. The state, California, one of 15 voting in yesterday's election. Of course, President Biden won the Democratic primary. Former President Trump won the Republican primary here in California. Voters made their voices heard, but just not as many people as expected, as you mentioned earlier. When polls opened, nearly 90% of ballots had not yet been returned. By closing time, voter turnout was reported to be 21%. The state's all-time low was in 2012 at 31%. So we'll see how many of these ballots actually made their way back. Maybe a lot of people did what we did and turned their ballot in, already filled out. And so it's in a bin that still has to be counted. I don't know.
In turnout, though. You know what I mean? I don't foresee that happening. I'm just disappointed. You have to vote in every election. It doesn't make sense. I just don't understand people that don't vote. I know I'm making I seem to be so flabbergasted about it. I am flabbergasted about it. I don't want other people making decisions for me. It seems like so many other Americans agree with me and yet let so many other people make decisions for them. And when there's low voter turnout, important things end up getting passed or not passed, right? And so that's the problem I see here, is that things like Prop 1, even though it hasn't been, passed yet, but the surveillance that's going to be happening apparently in San Francisco and all of these sorts of things, if you start bitching and moaning about it, my next question is, well, did you vote for it or did you even vote at all? And oftentimes, apparently, it's going to be no.
Showdown set in California's race for the Senate. Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff will face Republican Steve Garvey in November in the runoff. Garvey is a first-time candidate and a former baseball star. He gave a victory speech last night laying out challenges he wants for the state of California, like closing our border. Schiff's celebration turned a little hostile. There were protesters there chanting "ceasefire now," to which he responded, "We want to make sure we keep this kind of democracy." Governor Gavin Newsom also sent him a congratulations on social media. So, yeah.
I mean, I'm not happy about the whole Schiff Garvey thing. I think that that's total bull. I feel like, Pamela, thank you so much for the $5 donation to our super chat. She says, these are scary times. Garvey over Porter. Thanks, Adam Schiff. You're a coward. And he did not want to go up against Porter. And thank you to also Luis, who donated $10. Have you seen Mercedes? I didn't realize Obama was still president. Nikki Haley was in charge on January 6th. And Biden is leading us into World War, I'm assuming you mean 3 or 2. Seriously, Dementia Don keeps getting a pass. Yeah, he's just, again, but people will forget that Donald Trump says this nonsense. They'll give him a pass. They always give Trump a pass. But I'm disappointed by a lot of the state races. The most, of course, Schiff going up against Garvey. I cannot believe that Garvey got so many votes. I just can't believe it.
Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to fight the homelessness crisis is up in the air because Proposition 1 is still too close to call this morning as ballots continue to be counted. At last check, it barely had over 50% of yes votes. It's really a 50-50 deal. If it passes, the state would be allowed to use money from a 2004 tax on millionaires to pay for better housing, treatment, vocational, and rental assistance for homeless people with serious mental health and addiction issues. The measure also includes building mental health facilities and supportive housing for veterans as well. 50-50. Police in one South Jersey town are on the lookout for a guy who dunked his head in a store's open pickle barrel.
Ew!
Whoever he is, the guy left a fully sour taste in the mouths of workers at Heritage Dairy Store in Glassboro, South Jersey. It's about 20 miles south of Philadelphia. Store workers say an unknown young man walked into the store and with a splash dunked his head into the store's pickle barrel, costing the store about $52 in now spoiled pickles.
I mean,
police have posted they call him the delinquent.
Delinquent.
Yeah. They posted the man's photo online. They won't show the store photo since they say the pickle poacher was recording himself with his phone and would probably enjoy the attention.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Mars asked, why do stores have open pickle barrels? I've seen them before. Usually they have a lid on it, so you have to take the lid off because people like to see. They think it's fresh, but it's brined and it's pickled, of course. Are you a dill? I think we've had this conversation. Are you a bread and butter? What kind of pickle person
I like
are
a
you?
bread and butter pickle. Oh,
You can have mine.
good.
I hate bread and butter.
You know who eats pickles every day?
Hmm.
Julia.
Yeah,
Loves pickles.
I have things of pickles. We're a pickle family. I love pickles, but
Oh,
I like a dill.
So funny.
I like a dill pickle.
So does she.
My mouth's all watering. I love.
She likes those little, like the mini pickles, like the cabochons or whatever.
Oh, or the gherkins. No, I don't like those at all. I like a nice. I like them. I like the spears. I don't like a whole. I don't like a whole pickle, and the reason why I don't like a whole pickle, they have to at least be cut in half and put in there. I feel like they're not as crunchy. I don't know why, but I just feel like they're not as crunchy.
You should make your own pickles. I bet it'd be
should
good.
make my own pickles. I really, really should. I do love, it's not hard. You just have to get the spices and the brine and everything. But yeah, I like spicy pickles, but they have to be dill. No sweet pickles. Ugh, gross.
Speaking of going back to the election for a minute, some changes are coming to middle schools in San Francisco.
Okay.
Maybe around the state. Nearly 85% of voters made it very clear they support Prop G, which demands the school district bring back Algebra 1 for 8th graders. Parents and community groups have been fighting for years to allow 8th graders to take that math class. The school board recently voted to begin a 3-year process to reintroduce it starting this fall. Results for other key measures and races across the Bay Area are coming in this morning as well.
So Marley did not take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, obviously. As far as, Dylan's really good at math. Not like he's not a genius in math, but he's good at math. It's not a subject that comes difficult to him. But I feel like the whole idea of you have to be at this point in order to reach this point by the time you're a senior in high school, and then you can go into this kind of degree, it's kind of BS if you ask me. I do understand. I just feel like if you are really good at math, maybe you can even test up or something. And I don't know, maybe you can do that, but it shouldn't be so, oh my God, I started late in 7th or 8th grade and now my entire math path is permanently altered. That just doesn't seem right to me.
No. The Oakland A's are sharing a first look at their proposed stadium in Las Vegas.
Do you have the pictures?
I don't have them.
I'm going to bring it up while you talk. Go ahead. It's ridiculous.
So the design features a fixed roof and tiered seating with a giant window overlooking the Strip and a direct view of New York, and MGM Grand Resorts. Plans call for the ballpark to feature an 18,000 square foot jumbotron, which would be the largest in Major League Baseball. No date yet for the construction to begin, as the design could be updated over the next year.
Okay.
Look at that. It looks like translucent see-through.
It looks like, the Australian, the thing in Australia. I forget the name.
The Opera House or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the architect or whatever has said the result architecture is like a spherical armadillo shaped by the local climate, while opening and inviting the life of the Strip to enter and explore. Okay, it's nice. Like Kim mentioned, 18,000 square foot jumbotron. Let's take a guess about what the big problem with this thing is going to be. Parking. The plan only has 2,500 on-site parking spots. That is fewer than one spot per 10 fans if the ballpark is at capacity. Now, if you're wondering how other stadiums compare, NFL stadiums tend to require one spot for every 3 fans. Levi's Stadium has 31,000 parking spots for its 69,000 person capacity. I don't know. It's nice. I guess it's nice. I will say it does seem to, kind of it's big and grand, like what's needed in Las Vegas. So it's glass covered. It's not open. And apparently it's going to help with the heat and everything because Vegas gets hot.
It's almost like the Sphere in a way.
Well, I don't know if
because it's roundish. Yeah.
I don't know how much they're going to display on it, but yeah, it looks nice. I don't think it's as nice as what was planned for the Howard Terminal. I think that, overlooking the street is all fine and dandy, but Let's see if John Fisher can even get it together. You know what I mean? It's okay. I don't know. I'm still voting against John Fisher. I hope he takes it in the shorts. I hope that they never break ground. You know what I mean? Like, I just wish the worst for him because he's totally screwed over Oakland A's fans. And I have zero skin in the game. I am not a baseball fan, let alone an A's fan. But I do think that he totally screwed over Oakland and fans, and it sucks. And I hope he doesn't get anything he wants. Was that mean?
No, not at all. I don't hate that design, though.
No, I don't hate it. Let's look at it again. It is pretty.
Yeah.
I think I just don't. I think that it's so crappy what he did. It just is. And now the ballpark's supposed to open in 2028. But again, they don't have anything set in stone yet. This is just a design. I want to show you one more picture though. Hold on. Let me save this one because this one actually looks kind of cool if you're on the inside of the ballpark. This is what it would look like. And again, this is just a rendering. So let's not act like this is actually what might actually take place because of course they're going to make it look as good as possible. But this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting inside and there's that kind of reminds me of the sphere, right? So like you can see and it's going around the arch or whatever. And then you could see New York and everything behind it. So that looks kind of cool. But yeah, screw John Fisher. He sucks.
I mean, I guess you use the visuals you have in the
of course.
San Francisco area. It's going to be McCovey Cove in the Bay. In Vegas, it's going to be the skyline, the strip.
Yeah. Now, they make a good point about the parking, even though it does seem like it's not enough spots. If I was going to Vegas, I probably wouldn't have a car. So, because I'm a tourist. And so do they need all these parking spots? I would also say though, this is another example of Vegas being a destination, not for the home team. So it's not like people are just going to go to see the Las Vegas A's or whatever. They're going to go see their team in Vegas at the ballpark. So there's always going to be the Raiders face the same thing. It's hard for them to be the quote unquote home team, especially for big games, because out of towners come in and flood the stadium.
Yeah.
So, and so that's always going to be the issue. And again, screw John Fisher.
A big phenomenon happening.
Ooh.
At Trader Joe's.
Plastic again?
Interestingly, no, as a matter of fact. This is a mini tote bag, and apparently it's gone, I'll use the term, but they say it's gone viral.
It's
because
generic. Okay.
So many people want it. Like, must have it, want it kind of thing.
Okay.
It's $2.99.
Okay.
So it's mini. It's not like the big Trader Joe's bag where you can put your groceries in it.
Okay.
It's a mini one.
Like, so what could you put in it? Bananas?
That's probably about it. Yeah.
Okay. And it's
it's creating the kind of chaos that whole Stanley Cup at Target created.
People are so stupid. I swear to God, people are so dumb.
I mean, honestly, the lines at Trader Joe's to get a hold of this mini tote bag, wild.
I'm looking at a video on TikTok.
They're 11 by 13 inches, right?
And they're not even that cute. I mean, it's a canvas friggin' tote bag that says Trader Joe's on it. Like,
what's the point? Like, people will go crazy for
anything. Exactly. If they find out, this is what I think rationally is that they're reselling it. I can't imagine you being...
Interesting you mentioned that, because you buy them at Trader Joe's for $2.99.
Right.
And you can find them right now on eBay for more than $25.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go. I have a Trader Joe's around the corner from my house. I will go look and see if they're there. I'm not going to buy one. I never remember my friggin' bag. I never remember my bags.
Yeah.
So what I do is I save all the plastic bags that I get from the store, and I just bring those back in and I use those if I remember. Otherwise, I use them to pick up the dog poop. Like, that's it. Yeah, and it's not even cute. It's not even cute.
Well, it just looks like the regular Trader Joe's, the bigger bag.
It's just
I guess they think it's cute because it's purse sized.
But
according to SF Gate, you can fit a Chihuahua in there.
Yeah, I guess I'm reading a New York Times article that they've actually put a limit on how many you could buy at one time. Trader Joe's is loving this crap. See, now you forgot all about the plastic in their food.
Yeah. Marker from plastic? What?
Oh, yeah.
Chicken dumplings on recall? Okay.
I know, Ms. Organic. I try to remember the same thing. And what happens? What happens? I try to put all my and I have reusable bags. Don't act like I'm not saying I don't have any. It's just I have a haul tree, and you would think that as I walk by, I would remember to grab the bags that are just hanging right there, and I don't. And then I end up at the grocery store, and it piss. And if I don't get enough, if I'm not getting a lot of things, I just don't even get a bag because I have an old Costco. You know, when you go to Costco, they give you boxes to put your groceries in when you leave. I have one of those. I just keep it in my trunk. I should just get a trunk organizer, but I'm like, the box works. And then I just put the stuff in there. And then I usually I'll run inside. And if it's too much to carry in one trip, I'll bring the box back outside. So I don't, it's a crazy world I live in.
Oh, yeah. There's a video on SF Gate of people lining up at this Trader Joe's because the mini bags just dropped.
Oh,
so.
I can't. I want to go to Trader Joe's just to see if there's people doing this, or just to see if they even have any, or even if there's a sign with like a limit to purchase. Should I buy one if it's $2.99 and show it off?
Yeah, absolutely.
See how much I could sell it for on eBay. That'd be so funny.
Oh my God.
I'm only buying one. I mean, this is ridiculous. $2.99 for a friggin' bag. Are we kidding? And it's ugly. It's not that cute. I would get the red one though. If I had my choice, I'd get the red one. I kind of want the red, yellow, and green one because I love reggae music. I kind of want that. And then I kind of want all four because then I can give one to each of the kids and James. But no, not going to be one of those people because no one's going to use it. It's just going to.
What do you do with it? You can't really fit anything in there. It's like a little purse.
I could probably fit a bottle of vodka, a thing of ginger beer, and some club soda. That's what I could. It could be my cocktail bag.
I don't know.
I want to see. I'll answer all of these questions. I'll go check one out and I'll see what it can fit. Let's see how much can Nikki fit in this stupid ass bag.
Yeah. Can you believe what people will go crazy for? Sometimes it's just a shocker.
It's a herd mentality. It's totally. It's like, oh my God, the whole Stanley thing. I think. I feel like it's over already, right? I feel like the Stanley Cup thing has hit its match. Unless there's another collaboration or something, I think that Stanley's moment in the sun is over. And now it's Trader Joe's mini bags. It's so dumb. Oh, thank you, Lorraine, for the $10 donation. She says, I have so many Target plastic bags and I never remember to bring them. Oh, and Vilma has a great idea. I'll do that. That's a great idea. I'll raffle some. I'll see if I can get any, and I'll raffle them as a fundraiser for the show. But then I kind of feel like that's exploiting the nonsense that the Trader Joe bag is, right? I don't want people to overpay for an ugly ass bag, but if it benefits the show, I guess I can eat that. But yeah, I always forget my plastic bags or reusable bags. I'm terrible with that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is there because some people say, well, bring the plastic and we'll recycle them or do whatever. And then there's kind of this reusable, but I just keep the plastic bags. I have them right by my back door. And when it's the kids' turn to pick up the poop, they use those bags because they're thick, right? They're not the like flimsy one that people hate and blow into the ocean. They're the thick bags. And so I will just be like, go use that. They're nice and thick. And then you throw the poop away. Otherwise, like, you got to use a bag for something.
Okay, but those thick plastic bags take a long time to break down.
Yeah, but I mean, what am I supposed to put poop in?
Interesting.
Reusable bag?
Ask. No. How about a biodegradable poop bag?
Well, I do when I go on a walk. I have those bags.
Yeah.
They're very thin, though.
Yeah, they
I
are.
have to double bag those.
Oh no, that's the whole point. Is that I'm telling you what. Think of the world first, my friend.
I do. I mean, the bag is already made. Okay, now you're making me feel really, really guilty, but I do. I use the thick bags to pick up the poop because it's gross. It's gross. I don't want to get too close.
Imagine those thick bags now for the next, I don't know, 500 years.
Did you not use disposable diapers?
Sitting in a landfill.
Did you use disposable diapers, my friend? Did you?
I
okay,
did.
Then shut up. You have no leg to stand on because those diapers are still sitting in the landfill. There's poo. I am justified in using something that's not going to break through into my hand. I'm sorry.
No, you can use
the bag thick and
use a bag that's not so big, like a smaller one that has less plastic.
It has a lot of poops, and my dog isn't that small, Ms. Organic. I mean, he's 40-something pounds. I mean, he's a medium-sized dog.
What are you feeding him? She says.
I mean, it's not like we're not talking pellets here. We're talking about, full turds here. So
I don't know.
I'm just joking,
hear
Mindy.
you.
I'm just joking, but it's true. I'm sorry. Plastic diapers, disposable diapers, they don't. They should, you know what they should do? Which I always say, make the things that people use just like break so they break down.
Yeah.
People want to use disposable diapers, make them better. They're going to use disposable diapers, make them better. That's what I say. Use recycle the plastic bag that I use to pick up the dog poop and make them into disposable diapers that also break down. Do that.
So
I mean,
we
come
have
on. We can go to the friggin' moon. We could do this.
we have these bags that we use to put inside of our compost bin on the counter.
Okay.
And I find they're about the same size as a dog, like a little dog poop bag.
Okay.
And they're not bad if you use them to pick up the dog poop. I feel like they're gonna break down over time. Whereas if you reuse one of those big Target bags or whatever, it's probably a worse situation. I don't know. You'll figure it out.
Or I won't. I'm. We'll back to the totes. I'll see if they're there. I'll see if they're there, and if I can ever remember to bring them. There we go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna judge you at all. I'm not doing
I'm
that.
sensing judging in your voice, but it's fine.
I'm a little judgy today, maybe a little bit. This report is sponsored by you.
Not by Trader Joe's plastic food. Not in
No, not by the plastic food or the mini totes, but by you. And that means we do rely on you to help us keep this show a-rolling. Thank you for all the ways you've already contributed today. Thank you for going to the NikkiMaduroShow.com and looking at the Patreon and PayPal link and considering supporting this Nikki Maduro show. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Maduro Show.
Thank you, Kim. All right. So let's talk a little bit more, just a little bit more about politics, because did you see? Now, again, I'm just going to say this. Band, chill out already. Okay. I was never a Kyrsten Sinema fan. I wasn't. Okay. I think that she was hypocritical. I think that, there might have been some courting from the Conservative Party for her. I don't think that she answered questions adequately when pushed on why she voted a certain way or what have you. Kyrsten Sinema has decided she will not run for re-election in Arizona. Let me play you a little bit of the CNN announcement.
Breaking news, Independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona says that she is not running for re-election. She says she's going to be leaving the Senate at the end of the year. Let's get straight now to CNN Chief Congressional Correspondent Manu Raju on Capitol Hill. Manu, get us up to speed here.
Yeah, this is very significant. Of course, Kyrsten Sinema has been a key player in the Senate for several years now, being the center of a number of negotiations here in the Senate, someone who has actually gotten a lot of pushback, anger from the left flank of her party, ultimately drove her from the Democratic Party, became an independent senator, caucusing with the Democrats. But there's been a key question about the Senate race this year, the Senate map, about what Kyrsten Sinema would do in this critical swing seat of Arizona. She just announced she is going to step aside, will not run for re-election in November, which will change the dynamics in that very critical Senate race in Arizona. She just put out a lengthy statement explaining her decision to step aside. She talked about the need to work together, how the need for civility and for compromise. She said that she laments the fact that, in her words, compromise is a dirty road. She said we have arrived at a crossroad and we choose anger and division. And ultimately, she says that it's time for her to step aside. This will change how this Senate race could eventually turn out. If she were to run, it would be uncertain whether she would pull support from the Democratic side or the Republican side. There's a Republican candidate who is running in that race, Kari Lake, the former gubernatorial candidate. There's a Democratic candidate, also Ruben Gallego. He's a Democratic candidate as well. I just talked to Steve Daines, who's the chairman of the Senate GOP campaign committee. He told me that he believes that Sinema's decision to step aside will ultimately boost Kari Lake's chance in this pivotal race. But there's not only have an impact on the map here, Brianna, but also on the Senate as well. Several of these deal maker types, Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, Mitt Romney, all saying that they will not run for re-election. That will ultimately change the makeup of the Senate, whether they can cut deals and have implications too for the next president. Brianna.
I mean, and that's what freaks me out. I mean, are we seriously going to see a Kari Lake in the U.S. Senate? Is that what the Republican Party is going to do? Now, again, Kyrsten Sinema was an independent. I do think that she makes a good point about compromise and reaching across the aisle and things like that. Um, Kyrsten Sinema, according to some analysis, does appeal to the middle wedge of the electorate that sometimes voted for John McCain. Um, you know, it's hard to be a really hard left person in a state like Arizona because it's changing so much, right? Like I have family that lives in Arizona. I know that in certain parts it's really, really red, and in other parts it's a bit more purple-ish. Vilma says we won't miss Sinema. She was always a spoiler. It was always her and Manchin that would get in the way of good bills. She was more Republican than Democrat. And I understand that argument. I really, really do. When we're trying to get something passed and the votes are won and she's going to be the spoiler, absolutely. But would we rather have Kyrsten Sinema or freaking Kari Lake? Did she really compromise? I get that. Kari Lake is Kari Lake is badass crazy.
That lady's nutso.
She is nuts.
But here's the thing. That used to be like a disqualifier for politics.
No,
and now it's like
anymore.
Let's see how many nutbags we can pack in there in the Senate and the House. Yeah.
Now, remember, Kari Lake narrowly lost her bid for governor of Arizona in 2022. I mean, she still claims that she won a la Trump, right? She issued a statement after Sinema's announcement. She says, as a journalist, give me a I covered Kyrsten Sinema for many years. We may not agree on everything, but I know she shares my love for Arizona. Senator Sinema had the courage to stand tall against the far left in defense of the filibuster, despite the overwhelming pressure from the radicals in her party, like Gallego, who called on her to burn it all down. Kari Lake is going to burn it all down if she's in the Senate. So we'll see what Arizona does. I mean, again, I don't live in that state. It's up to them. But again, it always comes down to this basic question. This is the best you can do? Kari freaking Lake? Yeah, Gordon, Kari's an election denier. She's huge with MAGA. Katie says when she and Manchin were turning their back on Build Back Better, right? I looked at her background. I'm surprised to see that she has a law degree, a PhD, yet she comes off so weird. Listen, you could be badass crazy and have a law degree. Nothing stops you from being a lawyer or have a PhD. That having a PhD and a law degree does not mean you're not nuts. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. Chad said, thank you so much, Chad, for the $5 donation as well. Wouldn't hold it against Sinema to run on a Manchin Sinema no labels ticket. These two will find some way to make things difficult for Democrats. Interesting. Let's not put that into the ether. But yeah, I could see it. I just don't think a no labels ticket is going to work. I just don't. I mean, I understand the appeal of no labels. I understand the appeal of a third party. I really do. But I don't see it happening. Yeah, Vilma, Kari Lake is a loon. She is. And she might not have a chance, Spencer, but
I hope she doesn't have a chance.
Stranger things have happened.
That is the scariest part, is that these people get so close to, being in positions of authority and power. And we assume that the voters are going to see through things, or the voters are going to act with normalcy. And then the voters surprise you and you're thinking, what the hell just happened there?
Exactly. Like, what the hell is going on? And that's, I think, a question that we ask ourselves way too much in recent years, is what the hell is going on? All right. So that's politics again. And Prop 1, just to kind of go back to the state races and what we're paying attention to in California, obviously the race to succeed Dianne Feinstein, I said I'm disappointed in. I'm also, as far as San Francisco, there were several measures that had the backing of Mayor London Breed. One was requiring drug testing for people receiving county welfare. Another was expanding police officers' ability to pursue suspects with drones and video surveillance. Now, on one hand, I don't feel like I have a problem with it. On the other hand, I understand, the civil liberties. We're constantly being watched. We're constantly being surveilled. So I guess people in San Francisco are okay with it. I feel like the pendulum is swinging in cities like San Francisco, who are fed up with the amount of crime and drug use and all those sorts of things. Will that be enough to lead to the passage of something like Prop 1? I don't know. That's going to be a very, very interesting race to watch. So, and again, I mean, we have several weeks in which, sorry, friend, several weeks in which we can wait for these results to come in. But I will have to say, I mean, besides Donald Trump, which we all knew, it's okay.
I forgot to mute myself.
Donald Trump being obviously the nominee, I think I'm most disappointed with the Senate race. I think that just sucks ass, but what are we going to do about it? Nothing at all. All right, let's switch gears now. Enough with the politics. Let's talk about actually the politics surrounding environmental issues such as electric vehicles. Now, we know here in California and across the nation, there's been this big push to get us off fully gas-powered cars. There's a new study that's resurfaced. It was by the emissions data firm Emissions Analytics, okay? And it was posted in this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal on Sunday. And it found that electric vehicles release more toxic particles into the atmosphere and are worse for the environment than their gas-powered counterparts. And why, you may ask? It found that brakes and tires on electric vehicles release, now this is a big number, 1,850 times more particle pollution compared to modern tailpipes, which have quote unquote efficient exhaust filters, bringing gas-powered vehicles emissions to new lows. Most vehicle-related pollution, and I did not know this, most vehicle-related pollution, according to the study, comes from the tires. The heavy cars, as heavy cars drive on light-duty tires, they deteriorate. And because of the synthetic rubber that's made from like crude oil and additives and all sorts of stuff, when they deteriorate, they release these harmful chemicals into the air. Now, EVs, another thing I did not know, EVs on average are 30% heavier. And so the brakes and the tires on battery-powered cars wear out faster. All those particles are released, obviously, from the driving and the braking and things like that. And so Emission Analytics found that the tire wear emissions on a half a metric ton of battery weight in the EV are more than 400 times as great as direct exhaust particulate emissions.
Is it because the car's heavier and it takes more energy to stop?
No, it's heavier, so it's harder on the tires. And so if it's harder on the tires to brake and things like that, then all those particles get released into the air.
Did we not do the research on this before we picked out, that all new cars in California in a certain number of years have to be EVs?
Well, listen, there is an easy freaking solution, which Emission Analytics does include, kind of buries the lead here. Basically, you have to improve the tires. That's the whole point. It's like, yes, obviously tires are made up of nasty chemicals, but one of the people from the study said, the best first thing to do is address the problem is to change the recipe, minimize the number of the toxic chemicals in the tires, and then you have the best of both worlds. You have EVs, right? Less fossil fuels and things like that. Improve how tires are made. And that's the problem. But that's not what people that want fully gas powered cars are going to lead with. They're going to say, oh my God, look at how polluting EVs are because of all the particulates that come out from the wear and tear on the tires, and then ignoring the fact that the fix is make better tires. Make them so when you're braking and you're rubbing up, the brakes are rubbing up against the tires or whatever, that they're not releasing all of these things. I still maintain that in 2024, and as we head towards, 2030, 2035, whatever the date is for moving to EVs, that it should include hybrids. Like, you have to include the best of both worlds. That is a good compromise. I love my hybrid. Probably before the deadline, I'm going to buy another hybrid just in case. You know what I mean? Just in case. Because no freaking way am I going to go 100% EV given the fact that I rent, I can't have solar power, I don't have a Tesla wall, and PG&E is insane and they're robbing people blind. So no, I'm not doing any of that. I don't know. Yeah, and the battery is extremely heavy. The cars are really, really heavy. And so that again puts weight in the car, makes it harder to stop, makes more wear and tear on the tire. And, I know people love their EVs when they have them. I know people love their Teslas, but it's not feasible, at least currently, for everybody to have a fully electric vehicle. They just don't. And we're just not there yet. The California Air Resources Board has insisted that automakers again could offset the weight of heavy batteries with weight reduction in other components of the vehicle body. But of course, they don't say exactly how. But that's another, besides making the tires not healthier, but not as polluting, make the cars not as heavy. And if they're not as heavy, then they're not wearing down on the tires. So if you see that headline and people start shouting that at you, now you know exactly what the problem is. Okay. Another business. Oh, go ahead. What?
I was just going to say, isn't that why, we've talked about this before, that other countries haven't gone toward EVs. Other countries have gone toward hydrogen vehicles instead.
Yes.
And so you have Asia and Europe with a completely different focus.
Yep.
And
exactly.
Why did we embrace electric vehicles in America?
Lobbyists, obviously.
Is that why?
Yes. So lobbying from the EV
Can
market.
we not do one thing because it's good for the world? Do we have to do all the things because lobbyists and people wanting to make money get involved? Can we not legitimately look at what's the best thing is for the world and then move forward with that?
I don't think that EVs in and of themselves are bad, right? It's just the infrastructure is not there yet. Okay. And because of the whole electricity problem in California and the cost of PG&E and them trying to go out for net metering and all that sort of stuff that doesn't make it financially feasible. Yes. Now, I know at least one person, let me say that, with a hydrogen vehicle. And if you don't think the infrastructure is there for EVs, it sure as hell isn't there for hydrogen. So, I mean, how far they have to go and what you have to do for, upkeep of the car, that needs to be improved. I remember when we were on KGO, I spoke to a huge proponent, I think from the hydrogen fuel car, lobby. And I even said straight up, you guys need to do better in Washington. You guys need to go out there and push for more infrastructure to get this done. And it just hasn't been there. I think that, at this point, politicians especially understand EVs. I think that they don't quite understand or aren't behind or aren't given money from the hydrogen fuel market. And so that's what needs to happen. That's what makes the world and politics of the United States go round. But, Mars, I hear what you're saying. Hydrogen is not going anywhere. It would be if we had the lobbying going on.
It is in other countries.
Exactly. So if
they
it can work there,
we
it can work
pick
here.
This.
Right. Exactly. So, but if there's not an infrastructure here, Kim, it's all fine and dandy to want to buy the car, but it's going to be a pain in the ass to.
Well, I guess what
I'm
saying is, I understand that there's not the infrastructure,
right,
and that there's more of an infrastructure for electric vehicles. But when we were sitting down, right, we have a task force in California. When we were sitting down to figure out how we could, get to zero emissions or whatever we're trying to do, why didn't we say, hey, these electric vehicles, they put out an awful lot of pollution when they, with the brakes and tires. And, these batteries, you can't really recycle those electric vehicle batteries. And maybe it might be better to look at the hydrogen. Why don't we start beefing up our hydrogen fuels infrastructure?
Yep, exactly.
Well, maybe these other countries, these other regions have something when they're looking at this. Instead of making the decision that is best, we just went for the people that are offering us the most money to go with their product.
Yeah, and
that's
I
how
get
it feels.
And that's exactly how it feels. But I also think that, when the ball is rolling down one aisle, right, it's hard to kind of split it, which is what we actually needed to do. You need to give people a lot of options for what works for them, given and I don't know forgive me, the weather impact of driving, let's say, a hydrogen fuel car versus an electric vehicle. Because we saw, with the snowstorms, these EVs couldn't handle it, right? The batteries, everything wasn't charging, and there was all these stranded electric vehicles. Now,
Right.
I don't know the science behind hydrogen fuel, if they would do better. But let's just assume for us and giggles, right, that it does do better. So then you would market hydrogen fuel and put infrastructure to states and areas that do drop below zero or whatever, and be like, this is a better clean car for you and for this area. In other places that have tons of sunshine and don't get snow, right? That's better for an all electric vehicle. But God forbid we think that way. It's all or nothing, it seems like. And that's not right. And an all or nothing doesn't work in a country, let alone a country as large as the United States, So, and Gordon says filling up a hydrogen car is much faster than charging an EV car, which again is one of the big complaints with EV drivers is I don't want to sit there for 20 minutes filling up my car or charging my car, I should say.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Do you have a hybrid?
No.
You don't, you just have a fully gas car, right?
I have a fully gas car, but it's old. Not old. We bought it when Julia was born. So it's 14 years old.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's going to need to be replaced, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're pushing the edges.
Are you giving it to her when she turns 16?
Well, it has, at this point, it's a Toyota and it has 140,000 miles on it.
That's fine. It could go twice that.
It could go a little bit. I mean, I don't know.
It's a Toyota. It can last easy 300 if you take care of it.
I don't think we're ready to get rid of it yet.
No. I mean, you could trade it in. I mean, if you were going to trade it in, I would trade it in before you hit 300. But if you're just going to run it into the ground and use it until it can't go anymore, it could totally go for way longer.
I like not having a car payment.
Me too. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But it is the one area where I feel like I could be doing better environmentally.
Yeah. I mean,
look,
I don't know how many Trader Joe's tote bags it's going to take to offset your gas-powered car.
Right?
I'm just messing with you. But
I will say that's the car we only drive around town. It's a Highlander. So it's an SUV.
Yeah.
It's a gas-powered SUV. But the reason it only has 140,000 miles on it is because we only use it for short trips here and there.
Yeah, exactly.
The smaller vehicle is the commuter car.
Wow.
But both of us work from home now. So
you don't need to
we're
drive
not driving as much. Yeah.
Liz says my husband's Toyota Matrix went 500,000 miles.
Whoa.
Yeah, Toyotas last. Hondas. Toyotas, though. I had a Toyota Corona, not a Corolla, a Corona growing up. It was a station wagon.
Okay.
And that thing lasted. I mean, we grew up in that car, and then I drove that car well past having my life, like 16, 17 years old. I mean, it was on the last legs. I think I've mentioned this before. Like, it was a stick shift. And it was so bad that every time it dropped below, I think 20 miles per hour. So like if you were making a U-turn, like 10, it would turn off. So I had to, as I'm making a U-turn and downshifting, you had to turn the key and get it going and hit the clutch and everything. I had it down like nobody would even notice that my car had turned off. Like, it was so sweet. But yeah, we drove that car in, and it was a Toyota. My car it's almost at 150,000. I got it at the end of 2016. It is a 2016, but I've pretty much 2017 is how long I've been driving it. So what, 7 years I've had that car, 150. And a lot of it was driving to San Francisco. So I'm not putting as much miles as quickly as I have in the past, but yeah, and I take it in for its service and oil changes and everything like that. Cause if it's cheaper to do it that way than to do it the other way. And so I'm probably going to hand this car down to my daughter or share it for a while until we could save up enough money to buy a car straight out, because I don't want a car payment either. I don't want a car payment at all. So, and I don't mind, getting something basic. I mean, my husband has a truck. So if we need to move something or do some sort of big thing, we have the truck, and he drives a work van. So he doesn't put tons of miles on his work truck. So, we're pretty good. We're pretty good.
Yeah. I worry about safety. Like, I want whatever that Julia's driving or will drive to have the most airbags and the most, because I know the chance of, But is the Highlander unsafe? No, but it's just not, the newer the car, the more safety bells and whistles it has. But you
Yeah,
also
but then
don't
it's
want to
like
buy a kid a new
expensive.
car. Yeah, I know.
No,
I
just give
know.
her the Highlander. You know what? She's
Yeah.
driving in it now.
Yeah, she's true. It's true.
You know what I mean? It's safe enough to drive now. I mean, the only problem is that she would be behind the wheel, right? Versus you. But still, I mean, she drives in it. I believe that Toyotas are safe cars.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it. But no, there's no way in HE double hockey sticks my kid's getting a brand spanking new
No.
car when she turns 16. It's not happening.
Speaking of cars we grew up with.
Oh, there you go.
We called her the Brady Bunch mobile.
Right.
And she had, this is a blue one with wood panels. Ours was white. We had in the back these seats that flipped up.
Right.
And you didn't face out, you faced each other.
Ah,
right?
yes.
And they did have little seat belts back there, but we would sit in the far, far back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there would be, stuff piled up to go on camping trips. And then there would be, a little spot for the kids to sit in the far back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So hold on. I'm going to save mine. So this was it. I think mine, this is an 81. I think ours was, I know it was an 80. But this is just the quickest. It's for me to get it up really quickly. But this was the car that we would drive to the Capitol drive-ins as a kid. And we would lay it because this was, back when parents didn't give a crap if you were wearing your seatbelt all the time. We would lay in the back of the station wagon. So it was beige. It was pretty much like this. 1980s Toyota Corona. Oh, this is actually a Corolla. Hold on. I want to find the Corona. It's so important that there's a distinct difference between but anyway, it kind of looked like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd have the station wagon in the back and just grew up driving that car, man.
That's
and
so funny.
It was tough. But yeah, laying down in the back, driving to the Capitol drive-ins with my brother, and we would lay down. And when we would be driving past the auto mall, which you had to pass coming from our house to the drive-ins, all the lights and everything would come, and we would call it Light City. And we were like, okay, let's lay down and go through Light City. And it was really, really cool. And it's just that's like the, memory. It's totally a memory. And I still think of it every time I'm driving to the drive-ins with the kids and we pass the auto mall. I think the same. I'm like, oh, it was Light City with my brother. So
that's really cute.
Oh, station wagons. It was just the time. You know what I mean? Now it's SUVs and things like that. But yeah, it was a good time.
Here's something interesting. We're not talking about elections anymore. Never mind.
No, we are not talking about elections anymore.
It's okay.
Oh, then well, no, you can say something. What?
I was just looking at the tabulations as the votes are still counted and come in.
Please drop them in.
And President Biden took 89% at this point, with 41% of the total vote in California counted.
Right.
89% of the vote in California went to President Biden.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
79% of the Republican vote went to former President Trump.
Yep.
With 18% to Haley. Everybody else is, 1 or 2%.
Right.
It's just interesting. And I mean, I just feel like it's, people wanted a different choice than him.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen, but it's fascinating to me.
Well,
the full Senate term race for the full term Senate seat, not the fill in for the partial seat.
Right.
It's right now Schiff 33%, Garvey 32%.
Wow. I mean,
eventually, Porter's 14% and Lee's 7%, I assume, will go to Schiff. So he'll handily beat him, in the election. But interesting how close that is.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't understand why it had to be so freaking close, but it was, I don't know. We'll see what happens in the general. Just to kind of put a fine point on it, we're gonna have to come out in droves to beat Trump. I can't believe that Garvey's. I'm not even gonna say he's a viable candidate. You guys are nuts. Any Republican that voted in California for Steve Garvey just wanted an R after the name. They didn't care. No. I could put my phone up, I guess, against Adam Schiff, put an R after its name, and you guys would vote for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd probably be smarter though, because it has all the answers in it. So.
That Prop 1 with 50% counted is still at 50-50.
Yeah, that's surprising. Well,
yeah.
I get it. I know when we were talking about it, a lot of the comments, Kim, were, I'm not voting for anything that's going to cost money, taxpayer dollars. Like, nope, I'm not. And then there was concern about having something as important and as such a big issue as homelessness and drug use and all that handled from the state versus some of these local agencies. I voted yes on Prop 1 simply because what we've been doing hasn't been working. And we're throwing so much money at the local level that, the state has to step in. That's the problem, in my opinion, that a lot of the funding was diluted between way too many agencies. And let's try this. I don't know. What we're doing in California, and I will say across the nation in some states do it better, obviously, than us, but we're a very large state. It hasn't been working. We're just not doing it. We should not be spending as much money as we are to see zero improvement. Remember when Gavin Newsom, what was it, last year? And he was going to take funding away from all these agencies. He's like, I have been giving you more money and we're moving backwards on the number of homeless people on the street. I'm not giving you any more money. And everyone was like, no, wait. You can't take away the money. And that's kind of how the ball started rolling with this Prop 1. It's like, wait a minute, though. I'm giving this agency this and this agency that. And you guys are still not seeing an improvement? Now, it's not just these homeless organizations. It is housing. It is building enough housing, which then brings in the whole builder's remedy. And I would argue that we are seeing a lot more housing being built. How much of it is affordable and how much people can actually afford is a totally different conversation. But for, let's say, homeless advocates to say, oh, no, we've been quite successful. Maybe in some areas and maybe with some things, but not overall. And so, we'll see what happens. But if it doesn't pass, I don't know what the hell we're going to do. I do think that people need to be forced into treatment. I do. Hands down. I think that, I don't want to say coddling in a negative way, but, we can't be touchy-feely with some of these people. They're past the point of no return. We got to get them sane again before we can even have a conversation about what they actually need. If you're yelling and screaming butt ass naked in front of togos, I'm not going to ask you what you need. I'm thinking you need help. And I'm just going to go with that. And your ass is off the street. You're going to go into some sort of facility that better be regulated, better have the human infrastructure needed, which again is always my big worry. And that's it. But no, we're fed up in California with the nonsense. And so I am surprised it's this close.
It seems kinder to help people than not. To me. So
I'm sorry. I'll never forget at KGO, I was waiting to go in and I just parked and right across the street was a Subway. And this African-American woman had a blanket around her, stopped right next to my car, opened it up like she was airing it out. And she was naked as the day she was born. And I was just like, oh my God. I mean, then she wrapped herself right back up again, but
just wanted a little flash in the morning.
Oh yeah. She just had to kind of shake it on out. And I was
God.
Totally like beside myself thinking she needs help. She needs clothes, but she also needs help. So it's just not. And it's just, and for as much as we pay in taxes and all this sort of like, there's too much money's going to it. So we need to figure it out. That's all we need to do.
Your congressional race for San Mateo, Santa Clara County, Liccardo and Cimidian are duking it out.
I didn't vote for either of them, so it doesn't really matter.
22% Liccardo to 18% Cimidian.
I mean, they're both well-known names. I will definitely say that I think that this particular race really came down to name recognition. I'm not saying they don't have a record. Cimidian and Liccardo both have a record to run on. I'm not saying that. But, I mean, if you asked, I did Julie Wycott-Hames. I was talking about yesterday, the only woman in the race. I voted for her. She didn't do very well.
But Lithcott-Hames, right?
Is that what it is? Lithcott?
Lithcott-Hames. She took 5% so far.
Yeah.
She's down there. She's not going anywhere.
I mean, she spent a lot of money on ads. I will say that, and made me look her up and do all that sort of stuff. But And, I like Joe Cimidian too. Joe Cimidian's been around for a very long time. And
he's the
so
one that has that There Ought to Be a Law contest every year. Yeah,
exactly. Which a lot of people say, no, can we stop making laws? Yeah. But, when you have to turn on your headlights whenever it's raining, that's a There Ought to Be a Law.
Yeah.
By the way. So, there are, and I totally agree with that law. And then Liccardo, I do believe this is the plus for Liccardo. One, I do believe that he understands that something needs to be done about homelessness and housing. I did not like what I considered, and it's just my opinion, the kind of sneaky way he was with Google and building the Google Village, right? I just kind of felt like there was no discussion. He was going to, as mayor, was going to help push that through. The city manager, though, in San Jose has a lot of power, not just the mayor. So, it wasn't just Liccardo. And I just didn't care for him as mayor. And I know that it's just kind of a personality thing. I did not really care for him very much. It is what it is. A lot of things happened under his watch, and what's his face, Chuck Reed, that I totally didn't agree with. The pensions for police was a total S show. Also happened during an election that was an off year, which I thought was total BS because we knew that it was going to pass because not a lot of people came out to vote, which pissed me off. I was a fan of Ron Gonzalez, who was a long time ago. It was during Ron Gonzalez's tenure that we were the safest big city in America. Graffiti was down. He funded things. He had his own problems as well. But, so growing up in San Jose, I have my opinions about stuff like that. And sometimes, people disagree with me, but we'll see if Sam Liccardo gets it. I thought he was the front runner, but somebody might give him a run for his money. So we'll see. Were there any races in your neck of the woods that surprised you locally? No.
Everything went according to plan.
Okay.
What did well, I mean, I guess I'm not surprised because you were just talking about how Californians are fed up with, crime and what's happening on streets, etc. In San Francisco, it looks like they went to increase the powers of police.
Yeah,
they had some measures on the ballot there regarding expanding the ability of police to chase people, right?
And then the drone use and the surveillance there. Yeah, they want police to be empowered to make this stops because one of the arguments has been police aren't doing anything; they're just standing around, or security, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, I don't want people just walking down the street and being chased by a cop because I don't want profiling, even though it's hard to get past implicit bias and things like that. But I don't want to see that. On the other hand, freaking catch the crooks. Yeah. I think that there's a mentality that needs to definitely change on the streets.
So that's what San Francisco voters are with only, half the percent or half the vote counted. It looks like they're going for these measures that increase the power of police in San Francisco. And I would say that at one point there was a moment where that wouldn't have been the case. Yeah. Kind of the tide had turned against the police, right? Down with the police, right? Now we've seen the repercussions of what happens with that. Crime on the streets, cars getting broken into. So now we're flipping it back around and saying, okay, clearly we need the police, right?
Now I want to throw this up. Just give me the truth. It says most crooks have a profile, Nikki. Again, I think that there is often a certain type of criminal that is thrown up on television, right? So if a car is being broken into, it's usually a masked man, although I will say women have been caught doing this sort of stuff as well. Certain races are shown a lot more, but also you have to remember that there's also implicit bias. So are we paying attention to, let's just say, a white person in a grocery store that might be stealing you blind, but you're not looking at them. You're looking at a person of color who also might be robbing you blind, but you know what I mean? So I don't like profiling for that reason. That's why it's when you're watching one person, who are you also not watching? Who's getting away with just the exact same thing? That's my problem with it. But yeah, whenever I see, I'll say it bluntly, if I see a black young man committing a crime on television, it pisses me off because I know damn well that is feeding into the narrative that it's young black men who commit crimes. When I know damn well intellectually that people of all shapes and colors commit crimes. So let's not fool ourselves into thinking that it's only a certain type of person. But it does piss me off. It really, really, really does.
So that Measure E for SFPD policy changes right now, well, they say it's 100% of the votes counted in San Francisco.
Okay.
60% yes to 40% no.
Yeah, that's a mandate from voters on what they want to see happen on the streets. Any other political things coming in that we haven't talked about? Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Swalwell and Pelosi are easily, on their way. San Jose mayor's race, interestingly.
That was a landslide, though. Mahan
Landslide.
got that. Yeah, that was a
88%.
landslide.
Mhm.
Yeah, Mahan. And again, I've been encouraged by Mahan. If we want to talk about mayors that I like, and I did not vote for Matt Mahan. I voted
The
for
first
Chavez.
time, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but I obviously voted for him this time. I will say that he seems to be living up to his word in as far
Right.
as what he wants to do about, removing encampments and getting housing built and where it is. So we'll see. I voted for him again. Let's keep it going. But yeah, I'm encouraged. I'm definitely encouraged.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any other headlines?
Oh, sure. Do you want headlines? You want news?
Let's do some headlines. Because
that.
then I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit towards the end. So let's get the other headlines out of the way, even though I know a lot of it today had to do with politics.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Here we go. Nikki
All right.
Haley is stopping short of formally endorsing Donald Trump after
Good.
suspending her GOP presidential campaign. Will she eventually? I don't know. He called her a bird brain. He said a lot of bad things. We'll see how this all plays out.
Yeah, but he's going to kiss her ass and she'll be like, but she, like I said before, she said, I hope he can appeal to Haley voters. That's pretty much, in my opinion, an endorsement. If you're encouraging him to be successful in getting your voters to vote for him, you're an asshat, Nikki. Whatever. Go away.
President Biden praised the former U.S. ambassador to the UN for running against Donald Trump. He also told Haley's supporters there's a place for them with President Biden. Former President Trump is also reaching out to Nikki Haley's supporters. In a Truth Social post, he invited Haley's supporters to join him while calling President Biden the enemy. Trump also took jabs at Haley in the same post, saying she got trounced on Super Tuesday and much of her money came from radical left Democrats.
Oh, stop. I mean, she did get trounced, though. But nobody thought that she was not going to be. So
You can't reach out to the voters in
then
brotherhood with one hand and then the next hand go,
oh, of course.
come on.
I know. It's Trump, though.
Mentioned this earlier, but it's Congressman Chip Roy trying to push legislation that would allow anyone who believed the COVID vaccine caused negative health effects to sue the manufacturer. A Texas Republican claimed, without scientific evidence, by the way, large swaths of the American people have been impacted by COVID vaccines. By contrast, a new study published in the journal Vaccine says such instances are extremely rare and the benefits of COVID vaccines far outweigh any risks. Speaking of being sick, though, Pope Francis is still under the weather. He's 87. He told an audience yesterday in St. Peter's Square he was delegating his readings while he remained sick with a cold. The Vatican said the Pope had a bout with the flu late last month. He said he had bronchitis last weekend. So whatever's happening with him, he's not doing very well.
There is something also going around, right? Tis the season of coughs and colds and things like that. But when you're of a certain age, that can get pretty difficult.
Commuters on New York City subways will see a greater presence of police and National Guardsmen. The governor says she wants to try to reduce crime on the subway system. The troops and officers will conduct random bag checks.
Oh.
How would you feel if you were, I just take it to the Bay Area. Say you're on BART or you're on a Caltrain and they walk up to you and they say, ma'am, we'd like you to open your bag. We'd like to see what you have inside there. While you're already aboard the train, you're already rolling.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel about that necessarily. I feel like if any sort of bag search is going to happen, I want it to be, like the airport. Everybody gets their bag searched. I wouldn't want to be, profiled like we were just talking about before. What is it about me and my bag that makes it so bad? Although I will say, if they want to have or bring on trains or BART occasionally those drug or weapon sniffing dogs, and then my bag gets kind of sniffed at, okay, but not just randomly like that. I think I'd have a problem with that.
It kind of feels like you live in a police state,
right? It's like, and what if this is terrible to say. I'm just going to preface this by, I know that, but is there not a right of people to try to hide things from cops, right? Like, let's just say that I'm going to say pot. I won't even go hard. Pot's legal, but let's just say it's not. Okay. And I've got some joints in my purse and they're not harming anybody. I'm going to take them to a party and I'm going to smoke them. Okay. And then the cop comes down.
A certain number of them are legal, correct?
Well, no, I'm just saying. Let's just say it's illegal, just for argument's sake.
Okay,
Just for my
it's
argument.
illegal, right?
It's illegal,
You're
but it's in my
breaking the
purse.
law, Nikki
I'm not
Maduro.
smoking them. But I'm taking them to a party, and I'm going to take Bart to the party. And so I've got some weed in my purse, and now I want to go to the party. I'm not harming anybody. I'm not under the influence, and I'm not smoking it, but it's in my bag.
Mm-hmm.
Should I be able to just, hide that from the cops? Right? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Should I not be allowed to try to get away with it? I guess I'm saying. Or is there every cop should be able to bust you whether you're actively breaking the law or just planning to. Do we live in the Minority Report? Right? I'm not smoking the weed. I'm not doing any of that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know either. Here's another race for you.
Uh-huh.
California State Representative Vince Fong is leading the race to fill the congressional seat formerly held by Kevin McCarthy. So McCarthy resigned from Congress at the end of last year after he was ousted as Speaker of the House, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fong is a Republican. He has 38% of the vote. Educator Marissa Wood, who's a Democrat, is trailing him with 24% of the vote. Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreau, a Republican, is in third with 23% of the vote. That district is part of Kern County, Tulare, Kings County, and Fresno County. So we'll see what happens. But right now, Mr. Fong is ahead in that race.
Good. I mean, I not that I have any skin in the game there, but yeah, good.
I mean, I would prefer the Democrat to win, but...
Yeah, but in that area, I mean, good luck.
Be realistic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The first over-the-counter glucose monitor is getting the green light. The FDA yesterday approved Dexcom's Stello Glucose Biosensor System. It's intended to be worn on the back of the patient's upper arm, and according to the company, it can give 24-hour-a-day glucose readings on a smartphone for about 2 weeks. The device is intended for those 18 years or older. It is set to be released this summer. So
that's going to make a huge difference for people.
Tonight's Powerball jackpot.
Is it gonna pop? Is it gonna pop?
I'm not feeling good about it. It's $485 million.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We always gauge Kim and whether or not she's gonna say that it's gonna pop.
I'm not feeling it. I could be wrong, but the Mega Millions Friday night, that's got an estimated jackpot of $687 million.
Oh, is that
now
high
you're cooking
enough
with
for
fire?
You?
I think it might be. It might be high enough. We're getting in the territory where I might have to jump out and throw my $2 down. Yeah. 687 for the Mega Millions. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll play. I'll play your reindeer games.
I'm gonna play and then I never buy a ticket. I say this every single time. I always forget.
Remember we talked about that Sopranos booth?
Yes. Did it sell?
It sold.
Really?
And it brought in some big old bucks at auction. It went for more than $82,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This, by the way, in case you missed that show that we're talking about, this is the booth, a burgundy booth with a yellow Formica top.
Yeah.
Where Tony Soprano sat with his family before the screen suddenly went black in 2007.
I don't understand what people spend their money on. I really, really don't. I don't get it.
This little cafe in Bloomfield, New Jersey, put the booth up for auction on eBay last week. They were thinking they would get $10,000.
Okay.
They got $82,000. It's more than enough to pay for all of their renovations, and the lucky buyer gets a piece of TV history. So
where are you gonna put it though? It's a gigantic, and it's
kitchen?
not unique. It's just it doesn't. Whatever. With that picture, it's gonna need the picture of Tony Soprano sitting at it to make any difference to people that walk into your house. If I walked into a house, and it would have to be a big house because it's a big booth, I would have to why do you have this gigantic?
You would never think someone paid $82,000 for it.
$82,000, and it's just a booth. Okay, all right.
It's just a booth. That's all it is.
Just a booth. All right. Well,
I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do, but I don't know.
Obviously, inflation in the economy is really, really bad because somebody just spent $82,000.
Well, maybe they're like the biggest Sopranos fan in history.
Is there a show that you would spend buku bucks for a piece of memorabilia? No, not. I mean, again, I don't have that kind of disposable money, so I'm assuming somebody that bought it does have that kind of disposable money.
Right.
But I can't even imagine Maybe like if there was a sign, and the first thing that just popped into my head, and I don't even know if I'd buy it, like the Peach Pit sign, which was the restaurant in Beverly Hills 90210,
Right.
something like that. Like, oh my God, is that the original? So a gigantic booth, though? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think there's anything that would get me to pay thousands of dollars for it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, even stuff that I think is cool, like the ruby slippers from the Wizard of Oz, or like these things. Like, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
You know what that is? That's clutter and crap taking up space in my house that doesn't need to be taken up.
You have to have a big house. If you have a house that has like 10 different rooms or bedrooms,
so
you need
can
to fill them
collect
with
more,
something.
So you can collect more crap? No.
Exactly.
We got to pare down. We don't need stuff coming in.
I feel exactly the same way.
Get it all out. I'm really that was my New Year's resolution. I'm really trying to pare down the stuff.
There you go. Good for you.
Get out the stuff. And I still have a lot of stuff around here. I got to get it out.
I'm trying to get my husband to get rid of stuff, but that's a losing battle. Maybe we'll have a garage sale or something this summer when it gets nicer out. Get rid of some stuff, make some money.
Speaking of politics, Mitch McConnell has a pretty, I would say, not contentious, but cold relationship with Trump.
Right.
And Mitch McConnell has endorsed Trump now.
Of course he has. They have no backbone. They have no backbone whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like he's so insulting to people. And then they turn around and bend over backwards to say, to put their hand out and say, how can I vote for you? How can I help you? Yeah.
Well, it's all politics. It's not like they think that Trump's a good president. It's not like they don't believe that he's bad for democracy. They know all of these things.
Yeah.
They know it because they've said it. And then when push comes to shove, they fall in line. And that's just the way it is.
Did you hear that President Biden lost one primary yesterday? And that was American Samoa.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
One. Yeah. He lost it to this very little known candidate who's actually from Baltimore. So it wasn't like a Native American Samoan running. No.
Right.
His name is Palmer, Jason Palmer. And there's only 100 people that participate in it's a caucus in American Samoa.
Okay.
But he took it. He took the victory there in that caucus.
Interesting.
He's had full-time campaign staffers on the ground. He was working American Samoa. I don't know why you would do that, except just to make it a little news story. I don't know.
Like you could say that you could put that down on your resume, Kim McAllister. You could be like, I won the presidential primary in American Samoa. Done.
He had 3 full-time campaign staffers working there, but he never actually went there himself.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. He says, I'm proud to say my local team did a fantastic job. Our message resonated about focusing on education, healthcare, and climate change. He has never held political office. Mm-hmm. He is a partner at a venture capital company. He worked previously for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Microsoft, and Kaplan. He's 52. He knows he's a long shot.
Yes, but very much so.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And he said he doesn't want to play a spoiler role in this election. I don't know. I mean, it is kind of like, does it matter? Not, I'm sorry, not that everybody's vote matters. So the 100 people that caucused in American Samoa,
right? Your
vote matters, but will it make a difference?
No. I mean, again, Biden is the nominee. It's not like he's fighting for something here at all. I mean, if it was Trump, I would say yes, but well, not really. It's just a ding to his ego, probably.
But that's what happens when, President Biden has a lot of money in his campaign coffers.
Yes, and
why
didn't
he send 3 campaign staffers to American Samoa? Like what?
No.
Not that it matters, but I'm just saying, like,
because it doesn't matter.
You have to campaign and get out there and get those votes.
Yes.
You can't sit on your rear end and
maybe
let
in the
guys like Palmer
go
get the votes and sweep them out from under you.
Well, maybe during the general he will.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
There you go. Maybe he should. Absolutely.
I mean, in the scheme of things, it doesn't matter, but it's not. It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look good to have that loss there, Biden. Does not at all.
But Nikki Haley did win in Vermont yesterday as well.
Yeah, she won one.
That's not a good look for Trump.
No, exactly. Exactly. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed.
Lastly, I'll tell you this story because I hadn't seen it earlier. A Russian missile strike went really close to President Zelensky in Ukraine.
Uh-oh, really?
Like really close. They've been trying to get him for a while. This missile killed 5 people in Odessa. It landed 500 meters from a convoy carrying the Ukrainian president. And the Greek prime minister as well was in that convoy.
I can't even believe that the Ukraine war is still going on. I really can't.
It was so close that they felt the impact of it.
I would imagine. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, he said, Zelensky said that neither he nor the Greek prime minister were injured, but that he was close enough to have seen, heard, and felt it. So
that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Do I have anything happy to end with?
No, you know what? I'll end it too. Let's do 2. I have 2 business stories to add to your
bring it.
headlines.
Yes.
Okay. One is, now I didn't realize that some people got away with this, but Costco is apparently going to start enforcing something that either they didn't enforce before or weren't really active enforcing. They said you will need a Costco membership if you want to eat at their food court. So at my local Costco, the food court's outside, but you go inside to pay.
Right.
So now they're saying, some people are saying you always needed a membership to do that, but you could go in Costco, and I believe you can go to their pharmacy, and you can go in Costco anyway, because that's where their membership desk is. So if you're like, I want to get a membership, you can get inside Costco, and then of course you could just buy a hot dog or whatever. So they're doing that. They are going to start really enforcing this, whether you were able to buy it without a membership card or not. They're going to crack down on it. Apparently, one Reddit user posted a photo of a sign that warned food court patrons that they would soon need a membership card to make a purchase. They said effective April 8th, so in about a month, an active Costco membership will be required to purchase items from our food court. Please join today. Now, I don't know how many people I don't know. Maybe there are. How many people go to Costco just to eat at their food court and don't go to get anything else? The only time I ever did it is if I was having a birthday party to get their pizzas, because it's the best deal and the pizza's good.
Right.
But I already had a Costco card. I don't know if I would think of Costco if I didn't have a Costco card to go there.
So if you worked near a Costco, right?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
You maybe went, your coworkers were going there for lunch, and so you went for the hot dog deal or whatever for lunch. I could see some people maybe going there for a cheap lunch and a quick lunch.
That's a good point. And they want a piece of pizza. They want a chicken bake or a hot dog or something like that.
Most of the other people that are just getting something on the way out have membership cards.
That's what I was saying. Jen says, my coworker will just go for the food at lunch. That's interesting. I never thought about doing that, except if I was going to get, like I mentioned, a ton of pizzas for a party, because it's like $10 and you get a gigantic, really decent pizza. And then the last business story I have is Target. It's going to be launching Circle 360, which is a paid membership tier with unlimited same-day delivery.
They can stop that.
I'm not
paying to shop at Target. No.
$50 a year? Just one $50 payment and you get same-day delivery?
They can stop it. Stop it. You know why? There's a Target in my town, and I can roll up to the pick it up slot.
That's a very good point.
And they can put it in my car.
Yeah.
I don't even have to walk inside the building. They've made it so I could be a complete schmoo.
Yeah.
And just roll up and never have to move. Really?
Well, apparently they're trying to compete with, like, I guess, Walmart and Amazon. And so they're offering this for $50. Basically, it's $49, but $50. And it's less than $1 a week of the magic of Target delivered to your door. I completely agree. I feel like Target's lost its luster. When I go into Target, it's usually I need to pick up, maybe a birthday card or maybe some groceries, but dry goods. I'm not really there for like fruits and meats and things like that, obviously. Maybe some sort of toiletries, but definitely not clothes. They have jumped the shark with clothing, in my opinion. They don't have good jeans. They don't have, I like to go, like my son likes soft, like track pants all the time. I go to Kohl's for that. Kohl's beats Target, in my opinion, hands down with something like that. So I don't know. I feel like Target's trying to do this because they might be losing some of the market share.
If you told me you want me to pay however much a Costco membership is, and I'll be able to get a real discount on things. Right. I'll be able to buy things at Costco that I won't be able to get other places. right? I'll be able to get things in bulk and save a lot of money if that's the way you choose to shop. Then
Right.
you're getting something for that membership, right?
Yeah.
But
Well,
if you
they
tell me
yeah.
you want me to pay a membership at Target, but you're not giving me a special discount, like a membership discount, I still have to pay the same prices as people that don't have the membership, then what's the point of the membership? Just the shipping?
They say that members could grab all their essentials with no additional fees, no markups, and support from the preferred shoppers. So, I think that no fees and markups, or if you were not a member, what you would have to pay if you did want it delivered, right? So, because right now you have to use something called Shipped if you want to get something delivered from Target to your house. I just don't think that this is going to be popular, and I do think it's kind of signaling the alarm that Target is losing its luster. I mean, there used to be, I'm going to go hang out all day in Target. I'm going to get a coffee. I'm going to go shopping. I don't know if it's the same feeling about Target anymore. And I really do believe it's because of their clothing. They went on this whole, like, I live on a farm, ugly ass clothing for women. Their bathing suits, I guess, is a good place if you go. I don't know. It's going to start soon because they always sell them, when it's still cold outside. Maybe bathing suits. And I do think that they have a good selection of like graphic tees if you want to like get a, something like that. But other than that, their sweaters, their nice clothes, their jeans, it's all crap. It's all, in my opinion, it's all crap. And so I would not go there for clothing. Their shoes suck. So I'm just doing.
I shop there for holiday items a lot.
Yeah, or decor. Sometimes like I'll go get candles there. You know what I mean, or something like that.
Stocking stuffers. I'll go there.
Kitchen items, but clothing, no. And there's so many other places. Target is right in the same parking lot as like TJ Maxx in my neighborhood, so I can go there, and it's cheap as well. So no, I think Target's it's facing tough times with something like that.
Target membership, please.
I know. No, thank you. All right, let's give some thank yous to people who donated to our super chat. And remember, you can always donate even during the replay, and we appreciate your donations so very much. Tony started us off with a $10 donation. Thank you so much. Followed by Louise, who also gave a $10 donation. Pamela, thanks for being a huge supporter of the show.
Thank you,
$5
Pamela.
donation from Pamela. Lorraine says, I have so many Target plastic bags and I never remember to bring them. I don't either, Lorraine. A $10 donation. Thank you. Chad also came in with a $5 donation with a statement about Sinema going to the no labels ticket. Oh, God. I could see it happening as well, but I don't know what political future Sinema is going to have at this point. You guys, please continue to donate to our show. We really do appreciate you. Also, a thank you to Calvin Wong, who donated before the show to our PayPal. You could do Patreon by going to thenikkimadoroshow.com or PayPal by going to paypal.com and hitting the send button and putting in the email address, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com. We couldn't do this show without you. We appreciate all of you so very much. I'm going to be in San Francisco at KCBS for the next several shows. Kim will be here, and I do thank Kim so very much for doing that. But have a great couple of days, and I will be back next week. Thank you, Kim.
Nikki.
I love you.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Mwah.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.